What's up there, YouTube? Section 333 here. Let's see. I am smoking the 2021 St. Patrick's Day pipe by Peterson. Like any pipe, and like it's the weirdest thing with the St. Patrick's Day pipes. I think I like them more after I get them. And it's weird. Like I like them. I'm looking at them in the catalog, or not catalog, but online, and I'm saying, "Oh wow, I really like this one," and then you go for it. And then there's others where you get it at home, and you're like, and then after some time, you start to really enjoy the pipe. It's funny, the tankard St. Patrick's Day that I have, and I want to say that's 2000. I think it was the second year I ever did a video for a pipe, for a St. Patrick's Day pipe. And I could not tell you what year that was. It was a very long time ago. But that video, that pipe, it was brown. And all the others, like, they've done green ones, they've done brown ones before, things like that. And I didn't like it as much because the previous year was this beautiful green. That's actually one of my favorite pipes now. Yeah. So I am smoking Mississippi River in this today. The last of an old tin. It was actually very dry. The one thing I like about the really dry stuff is it burns crisp, burns clean, burns hot. Almost always stays lit too if you keep puffing on it. The downside of it is it gets real dusty and it burns too fast. What are you gonna do? So, like I said, smoking the Mississippi River. Just wanted to say hello, see how things are going. Looks like we are gonna get a storm tonight. I'd say the next hour or two. Yeah. But it's that time of year. It's April showers. They're coming. My hair is wild right now. Yeah. Long day today. Take the wife for a procedure. She's fine. It's a routine type thing. When you get to be certain ages, we gotta get certain things done as routine. What are you barking at? There's nothing out there. What are you barking at? Sometimes she just lets out a growl every now and then. She's a good dog. So, so I'm just smoking the pipe, having a good day. I took the day off from work, that's for sure. Yeah. Hold on one second, I just want to adjust this light some. That's better, so now I'm not being blinded by the light. Revved up like a deuce in the middle of the night. Oh. The older people will get that song. So, just like I said, just sitting on the back porch relaxing. Gotta be at work extra early tomorrow morning, so I'll be up in guess we'll have to wake up in a few hours. So I'll get a few hours of shut eye, and then, but it's typical now, it's, you get to a certain age and you're just going to be dealing with longer days, it's one of those things you want to talk about, like, but and I guess it's a generational thing. I know my kids, and I want them to be successful. I want them to work hard, and I've told them, you got to put the work in, though. You got to put the work in. You got to be the first guy at work. You got to be the last one to leave, that type of thing, do the best job you can every day. Come in early, stay late, that type of thing. The boss will notice stuff like that. They do. Make sure you say hi to the boss first thing when they come in the morning and you're already there. Make sure you say goodnight to the boss when he's leaving. If he asks if you're leaving, so I'm just wrapping a few things up. I'll be out of here in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Thanks, boss. And you make sure your work is on point, and they do that, but then every now and then you get I'm hoping they give me a promotion soon, or I want to be a manager, it's like, well, how many years experience? And I guess it's different in the world today. I mean, kids change jobs a lot now, whereas we didn't change as much back in the day. Maybe it's partly because I went into the medical field, so my wife as well, that we stayed in the same arena. Like, I stayed in the same place, my wife stayed in the same place. I mean, I've moved a little bit, but I've stayed at the same institution. I've moved to different departments within the institution, but I've stayed at the same institution. I've been there over 20 years. You don't see that as frequently today with today's young people. They go from job to job. They take management and director positions. A lot of times they're not qualified for them. A piece of paper, and I have the pieces of paper, but a piece of paper doesn't make someone qualified necessarily to hold down a particular job and to manage a particular outfit or division within a company. It's experience. And then there's times where experience doesn't qualify you either. And you could be the best in the world at doing a particular task. You can know all the ins and outs of it and of a particular department. But if you don't know how to speak to people, you may not be best suited for management. Now, depending on the aptitude of the person doing the learning, it could be easier to teach somebody how to speak to people and how to approach situations, or it could be easier to teach someone who already knows how to speak to people how to run a particular division. With the focus on HR so much these days, human resources, with that focus today on human resources, what you do find is most people would rather have the guy who knows how to speak to people. What field do I come from? I say you gotta find a happy medium in those places. Yeah, I say a happy medium is really the way to go. when you can find that happy medium, that employee who knows how to speak to people and is competent in reviewing the work of the people doing the work. In other words, knows how to run the division. That's a win. The other aspects of it could be, do you know your team? It's like, I tell my daughter when she was like, oh, I can't believe they haven't made me a manager already. She's been at the job for a year. And I said, well, are there people who have been there longer than you? And she said, yes, definitely. Don't you think they would get the manager's position before you at this point? Unless they're total, screw-ups, so to speak. Or, and, from a manager's position, from a director's position, you have to look at that too. You have to say, oh, well, I got this new young kid in here, she's doing a great job. Or he's doing a great job. Or they're doing a great job. But how are the people who've already been here, how are they going to react to me making that person their boss and they haven't been here as long? That's something you got to look at and something you have to think of, because that will affect the morale that could affect the morale of your entire division. And all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of angry people working for you. Or, as I like to say, a whole bunch of angry people not working for you. So, you have to there's a lot of thought that goes into all of these decisions. It's another thing when your team comes to you and says, hey, that new guy you hired, he'd be a good manager. They're organized, they're hardworking, That's powerful. That's a powerful thing. If you get rid of certain managers, it could really affect your morale. Now you got a morale problem. You got to work on that morale. And you could have a small mutiny on your hands. People underperforming on purpose. It's one of the passive aggressive ways they do it. It's just, I guess the gist of it all is, life is about putting in the work. And I know there's a lot of people who think that like promotions fall out of the sky, and so do six-figure salaries. And it's just not true. It's also not true that you need a college education to get ahead in life either. There are hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people in this country alone who do not have a college education and are extremely successful and extremely wealthy. It's taking initiative and being able to solve and figure out problems for yourself. That's a more important skill than anything they're going to teach you at a college. Being able to problem solve on your own. And take initiative. You have to take initiative. You have to, and you got to put the work in too. There are YouTubers out there who put in hours upon hours of time to make a single video, and they're wildly successful YouTubers, wildly successful. Um, there are YouTubers out there who have started their own media companies. That's impressive. Yeah, I think one of this is one guy. He didn't even have a college. He said he didn't even have a high school diploma. He said he dropped out of high school, and he's very intelligent to a certain extent. I mean, he often mispronounces words. I've seen him do that quite a bit, but that's just polishing, you know. He's built like an empire out of this, you know, and you know, and that's the other mistake people make. People think that college is job training. College is not job training. You know, unless you go to school for a specific thing, like you know. But it's not necessarily job training. Graduate school. Sometimes graduate school can be job training, but then again, sometimes not. I mean, you think about someone who goes to law school and they teach you law. You're not ready to be a lawyer when you get out of law school. You're ready to start working at a law firm, and you understand the legalese of everything, but you don't understand protocol, procedure, parliamentary procedure in the court. You know, things like that. You don't, as a doctor, you graduate from medical school. You're not ready to be a doctor, you know, or a physician, I should say, because technically they're both doctors. Uh, so a physician's not ready to practice medicine the day they get out of medical school. That's why they do a residency, and then they do a fellowship when they decide they want to specialize in something. And now that fellowship that used to be 2 years is now 1 year, you know? So they're putting the work in just to get the title and just to get that job, you know? I mean, before a physician can practice medicine on their own, they go to medical school, they go to undergrad, then they go to medical school. Then after medical school, they do a residency. If they want to specialize, then they do a fellowship. If they want to go into a subspecialty, they have to do another fellowship. And you're not making, you know, you're not making the greatest money when that's happening, and you got a lot of loans out too, usually, unless you come from a wealthy family and they've paid for everything, of course, obviously. But if you don't, which many people don't, you have loans that you have to pay back. And then, yes, your first job as an attending physician, you will have a 6-figure salary. And you will have 6 figures in medical school bills as well. And you will have to pay them off. So it is a big myth. And mind you, while you're going through this residency, you're putting in tremendous amounts of hours. But then, what they don't tell you, and there's laws now. Years ago, they didn't have laws, but there's laws now as to how many hours a resident can work. But there is no law saying how many hours an attending physician can work. And most attending physicians, now whether you work for a hospital or healthcare system, or you work for yourself, you're going to be putting a lot of hours in as an attending physician. And I've tried to explain that to people, and the buck stops with you too. You know, you can't, you know, you have to know. So you can't pawn this off on, oh, well, the resident screwed this up or that, you know. Well, the resident called you and asked you what to do because they didn't know. So the buck stops with you. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't ready for in life. You know, the generations that came before us, I mean, if you think about it like this, whenever you think you're smarter than the generation that came before you, think of this. When you buy a car, years ago when you bought a car, it would tell you how to adjust the valves in the engine. Now it tells you that you should not drink the contents of the battery. Think about that. The next time you think you're smarter than the generation that came before you. We're not. The generations that came before us that helped to build this country. I mean, I'm Generation X. But I'll tell you, the generations that came before us, maybe not so much the boomers. The boomers were actually a big deal, though, too, because these were people who smoked a lot of weed, the summer of love, and all of that crap. And they were able to, they built industries. And, you know, they were the technology industry before anybody else was. You know, I mean, these are the people who founded Apple and, you know, and built Microsoft and things like that. You know, you also have like I said, the generation that came before them. My parents had children late, so this is actually my family's generation. It's that World War II generation. These guys had to fight a war when they were little kids, 18, 19 years old. They had to fight a war. Some of them fought it at 16, 17. Seriously. Their family signed them into the military. My father wanted to be with his older brother. His older brother was off in the military. My father went to his father, my grandfather, and asked my grandfather to sign him into the military at the ripe, tender age of 16. He signed my father into the Army as an emancipated minor. And my grandfather, to give you a little context, this was a man who came to this country during the beginnings of the Russian Revolution. And he came here with his older brother. The family had enough money to scrape together to put them on a boat and send them here. They never saw their parents again. And my grandfather was a successful plumber, owned a plumbing supply warehouse, and he learned to become a plumber as an apprentice. Like, he lived on the streets at one time, sold newspapers, did odd jobs, things like that. A plumber took a liking to him that he was doing. He would run errands for this plumber, so the plumber offered to show him how to be a plumber. My father used to run ice up and down stairs and things. He was a big hulking man. But he used to deliver ice with the clamps, and he delivered 2 at a time when he was like 12 years old. Yeah. I mean, you talk about child labor laws, things like that. You know, the expression, hard times build hard men. Hard men build good times build soft men. Soft men make hard times. You know, it's a cycle. And I think right now we're in the cycle where we're making soft men. You know, we man bash now, and it's considered acceptable. And I'm not saying we were just awesome human beings before, and we don't deserve it. I'm not saying that. You know, male chauvinism's pretty gross. But you know, then you got the pendulum, and you swing too far the other way. You know, and that's what's happening. Is we're swinging too far the other way right now. But it's where we are. You know. We have to find some way, find some equilibrium, and find some balance in our lives. You know? But we can never be afraid of putting the work in, and that's what. Forget about hard men. Forget about man bashing and things like that. Regardless of your man, woman, you gotta put the work in. You don't put the work into life, you're not gonna get what you want out of it. And let me tell you, when you take on more responsibility at your job, things like that, that's not the time to kick your feet up and relax. That's the time to knuckle down and show people what you can do. That's how I look at it. I think that's the time to show that is, so, wow, they promoted me. They gave me this promotion. All right. I'm not saying you got to reinvent the wheel, but this is the time where you show people what you can do, what you're made of. The medical director at the institution I work at, I gotta tell you, when this COVID thing hit, I'm glad we had that guy, because you know what? He's tough. He's not. He comes across as mild mannered, which he is, but he's tough. He's resilient. He bounces back. I think he took like one day off this whole last year. Seriously. One day. He worked every single day, and he was putting in 10, 11 hours, 12 hours a day. All right? And making tons of decisions. Of course, deferring some to other people, but he was also smart enough and tough enough to hire the right leadership team around him to make those decisions too. And but meetings from early in the morning till late at night every day. I gotta tell you, I was very impressed with him, and it's inspiring when you have a leader who puts in those kind of hours and puts in that kind of work. Made me want to do it. Made me want to put in the extra hours and the extra work, and I was proud to be part of that team. Because I know that team really put the work in. They really did. And and like they said, hard times make hard men and women. Makes for tough women too. The women of the United States are some of the most progressive and toughest women in the world. They serve in the military. They take care of their families at home. They work full-time professions. They're CEOs of companies. They're, and that's why I get upset when people bash the United States, because I think we have the ability and opportunity to be the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. And and I know that may sound braggadocious, because I know there's people who watch these videos from other countries, but I tell you this is really an amazing country. It really is. Not to disparage where it is you're from, because there are some amazing countries throughout this world. They certainly are. But I'm always happy to come home when I do. And I'm always happy to visit someplace, but always happy to have a place to call home like this place. And that's why I think it's important we don't let this place become someplace else. I'm using the word place a lot. But I think it's important that we don't let this place become someplace else, or like someplace else. It's important that we keep our Bill of Rights. Because you got to remember, the people who govern with the consent of the governed. They don't rule over us. We allow them to govern. And I think that is what has to be projected. Um, the Bill of Rights doesn't come from Congress or the Senate. The Bill of Rights are rights that are endowed by your Creator. These are rights that you're born with naturally. Um, so that's another thing. So how can a man take away something that he didn't give someone else, or a woman take away something that she did not give somebody else, or they did not give somebody else? It's just not feasible. It's to me, I find that confusing. But put the work into life, and you'll reap the benefits of it. You will. And I know, man, I remember going to school and getting 4 hours of sleep a day. But it was worth it. It really was worth it. I remember one of my first jobs after school and getting up, it's the crack of dawn, traveling an hour each way to get to and from work, 2 hours sometimes if there was traffic. I would get there an hour early. You want to always put your best foot forward. And you're tired, you're cranky, it's another 20-hour day ahead of you, but you got to dig deep. You gotta reach within yourself, and you got to think about the reasons why you're doing things. You have to let that reason be your strength. You have to think about the people you love, the people you care about, the people that care about you, who want to see you succeed, All right, everybody. This is a long video of me running my mouth. But, it's been a while since I've done one of these. I hope all is good, though, with everybody. And I hope everybody has a very beautiful and safe summer. I hope everybody continues to stay safe, wear their mask. Wear your mask. Wear their mask if they have to, If you have to wear it, you're someplace, I throw it on. I don't like wearing it. I gotta wear it at work all day, And then I come home from work and I gotta, if I go to the store, I gotta wear it again, You just do it. Just keep this in mind, though. Just don't let them make you a sheep. So yeah, you don't let them make you a sheep, but you do what you got to do to play the game with them, so to speak. You if you want to get the vaccine, you get the vaccine. You don't want to get the vaccine, you don't get the vaccine. Most importantly, listen to what your doctor says. They know your medical history, things like that. So that's the person who should be helping you to make that decision. Don't listen to people on YouTube, television, things like that. No. Listen to your doctor. Speak with your doctor. They know you. But I hope everybody stays safe. I hope we have a good summer. Can't wait for it to get here, right? Whew, man. 2021 did not start out the right way. But, hopefully we can finish strong, right? Yeah. All right, guys. Section 333 signing out. I appreciate everybody that tunes in. I wish I could do these videos more frequently. Unfortunately, I do have a lot of other social commitments to family, things like that, professional commitments as well. All right, Section 333 out.